Hello and welcome to this session. This is Farhat, in which we would look at auditing the expense account. Now, expenses are listed on the income statement as well as income and revenues. And this is an important point. Why? Because most investors, most users that want to evaluate the profitability of the company, they look at the income statement, also known as the statement of profit and loss or profit and loss statement, and for short, P&L statement, and expenses are listed there. Therefore, revenues minus expenses gives us net income, which is the earning ability of the company. And oftentimes, this is a major factor for investors. Therefore, expenses are important because they influence business decisions. So auditor must make sure that income as well as expenses are accounted for and recorded in compliance with whatever method we are using, for our purposes, US GAAP or whatever accounting framework, IFRS or any other framework. So in this session specifically, I will be focusing on expenses. And the reason I do that because we had few sessions about revenues. And we're going to see shortly that revenues and expenses are interconnected, interrelated to other balance sheet accounts, which we already covered, like the inventory account, like the payables, like the receivables, so on and so forth. So in this session, we'll focus mostly on expenses. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
Hello, my name is Farhat. You are here because you are either an accounting student, a finance student, or someone who's studying for their CMA or CPA exam. Great. You are looking for some additional help, and we can help you. I strongly encourage you to visit my website, farhatlectures.com. I offer additional lectures, resources, including PowerPoint slides, multiple choice questions, in some circumstances, exercises, and true-false questions. Our material is aligned with your CPA review courses, with your CMA review courses, with your college courses. I offer a risk-free trial that you can try to find out whether my website can help you or not. If you find it helpful, you subscribe, you keep your subscription. If not, you cancel and your risk is free. If you like this recording, if you like my lectures, you would like what's on the website, give me a chance to help you with your college courses as well as professional certification. I hope to see you on the website.
So the first thing I want to remind you, or just kind of refresh your memory about, is the interconnectedness or the intertwined of the financial statements. So auditing the income and expense account is closely related to auditing the balance sheet account. How? For example, when you audit account receivable, you are really verifying revenues at the same time, because when you debit a receivable, you are going to credit a revenue. So knowing that the receivable is correct, the revenue is correct as well. Auditing inventory ensures that cost of goods sold is reported properly. Auditing accrued expenses or accrued liabilities. Accrued liabilities confirm that operating expenses are not understated. They are properly reported. So this intertwined highlight the importance of a thorough and integrated audit approach. So when the auditor look at the company, they have to look at the whole company and how everything is interconnected, because these interconnectedness, auditor must adopt a holistic when auditing income and expenses. You don't look at one thing, you look at the big picture, making sure everything makes sense. And keep in mind, any misstatement in a balance sheet account would result in a misstatement of an income statement account, and vice versa. If there is an error in an income or an expense, there must be a related error on the balance sheet. So when we are auditing revenues and expenses, and specifically expenses, what we care about are two key accounting concepts. The first one is the matching principle. What is the matching principle? The matching principle, making sure that revenues and expenses are reported in the prior period. And basically, in a sense, the matching principle deals with the cutoff cutoff test, making sure revenues and expenses are reported in the prior period, in the proper period. So the matching principle requires expenses to be recorded in the same period that they help generated revenue. This ensures that the financial statement reflect the true profitability of the business. So if we're auditing year one, well, we're going to report revenues plus all the expenses that help generated this revenue in year one. Misapplying this principle can lead to either overstatement or understatement of profit. The other principle is consistency that we have to be aware of. Consistency means what? Means the company is using the same accounting method from period to period. Therefore, we can compare and rest assured that we are comparing apples to apples. Consistency allows financial statement users like the investors to compare the performance over time. Now, how do we audit income and expense accounts? Well, the first thing is we have to kind of look at the control. And where do we look at the control? When we audit the balance sheet account. You might be saying, if we already audit the balance sheet account, why are we auditing the expenses? Well, we don't really audit the expense account, but if we have to look at certain transaction, this is what we are discussing here. But understanding the audit procedures of expenses would help you understand the audit process in general. So auditors use a combination of control testing, substantive testing, analytical procedures to assess the accuracy of income and expenses. So we could use tests of controls. Well, we have to evaluate the effectiveness of internal control over financial reporting. And this is what we did in practically every cycle we went through: sales and revenue, purchase and acquisition. And if we found that there is strong internal control, what's that going to do? It's going to reduce the misstatement and enable the auditor to rely more on analytical procedures rather than detailed substantive testing. And when we're auditing revenues and specifically expenses, we can rely on analytical procedures as long as we have strong test of control and we are comfortable with the balance sheet account. We could also do test of detail of account balances, and this method involves verifying specific transaction and balances in income and expense account. And obviously we could use analytical procedures. As I said, we used a lot of analytical procedures when we are testing, when we are auditing the expense account. Now, I saw several AI CPA exam simulation where they give you exhibits like the general ledger account for an expense, and they ask you to look over it. We're going to audit this account, and they're looking to see if you can identify any unusual transactions. And how do you identify unusual transaction? By using your analytical procedures. So I will start by looking at analytical procedures as a form of audit procedure. So auditors use analytical procedures to assess trends, compare financial data, and identify anomalies that might indicate misstatements. So what can you use? Well, one thing you can do is the first thing you should do if you are giving a problem like this is compare this period, whatever, utilities or repair or maintenance, to the other period. Analyze year-over-year fluctuation in the income and expense account. If there's any unexpected deviation, you must investigate. What are you looking at? Let's assume the company's utility expense increased from $300,000 to $450,000 without a clear reason. There was no expansion, no rate changes in the utility bill. Why did the utility expense went up by $150,000? Well, it could be that we added $150,000 in this account by mistake. So if you are giving this on the CPA exam, what you will do, most likely you will be giving additional documents that tells you those are the bills for the utilities, and maybe what's in there, something should not be there. Maybe we included the bill for raw material. In other words, this should be cost of goods sold. Well, but this is the starting point. There's a problem in the utility expense. How did I know this? Looking from year to year, utilities expense should not increase by that much. We could compare actual figures to budgets. If the auditor has access to the budget of the company, this is what the company wanted to spend, and this is how much they actually spent. Again, if there's a huge deviation, it's going to raise a red flag. So auditor compare reported figures against budget and forecast to identify significant variances that would require explanation. For example, if the company budgeted $800,000 for marketing, but they incurred $800,000, we might request an explanation. Now, marketing usually is not a a difficult account to audit, because nowadays most marketing cost is marketing online. What does that mean? It means if you're paying Google, if you're paying Facebook, if you're paying AdRoll or any other online agency, the marketing expense is pretty straightforward. You can review gross profit margin. This is important. What's a gross profit margin? Gross profit margin is taking gross profit, dividing it by sales. What's a gross profit? Gross profit, sales minus cost of goods sold will give you gross profit. Then you take the gross profit divided by sales. For example, if sales is 100, cost of goods sold is 70, your profit is 30, we're looking at 30% gross profit percentage. For example, if the company gross profit drops from 40 to 30% without a corresponding increase, auditor will investigate whether sales revenue is being understated or expenses overstated. If suddenly your gross profit percentage dropped from 40 to 30, don't get me wrong, this could happen. But for many businesses, this number is pretty reliable. It varies with sales. So if your sales goes up, usually your cost of goods sold go up by the same amount, or if your sales goes down, it's the same thing. Now what we're seeing here, your gross profit dropped from 40 to 30. This could happen. Why this could happen? It could be that your cost went up and you cannot increase your prices. You were squeezed. That's easy to verify. How? I look at the industry that you are in. For example, supermarket. If you are in a supermarket industry and inflation goes up, and you cannot raise your prices, because if you raise your prices, you are going to lose competition. So what do? You eat up that increase in cost of goods sold. That's a valid explanation. But this will be like common knowledge in a sense that if you understand the industry, you should know that this drop in cost of goods sold is across the board. But let's assume you're in the supermarket industry and all other companies are experiencing a similar gross profit margin from the prior year. Why did yours went down, or why did yours went up? So it raises, it gives you an idea where to start to look. You could also look at other key ratios. For example, a sudden increase in commission to sales. Okay, commission went from 20% to 35%. Usually commission to sales should be the same. If you're paying your employees sales commission 20%, it should be around 20%. Now, why did your sales commission went up to 35%? It could be there's incorrect revenue recognition or unauthorized commission payment. We need to look at these figures. So on the exam, what you are looking at is figures that deviate a lot, like more than 5, 7, 10%. And usually they give you a hint, like it should be stable. Why is it going up? Or your cost of employee went up and you have less employees, or your cost of employees went down and you hired more employees. Something does not match. So commission to sales, you could look at your prepaid compared to other years. You could look at your individual manufacturing expenses. For example, you can take a look at your raw material compared to inventory. You could look at your overhead compared to your total cost of goods sold. It should be stable. Why is it different? There are so many different ratios you can look at. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. Which of the following is not considered an expense account with relatively high likelihood of material misstatement? So here you have to use your judgment. These are all expenses: legal, advertising, repair and maintenance, rent and lease. Those are all expenses. But which one are basically not considered? So there's 3 of them. We would consider them, they are high likelihood of material misstatement. So let's go one by one. See, legal expenses. Do you think we could, what's the motivation in legal expense? If we are hiding a legal bill, what could be the motivation? Do we have an incentive for the company to hide a legal expense? And the answer is yes. Why? Because legal expense, what it could show contingent liability. Remember, if we have a liability like a lawsuit, how do we know this? We would look, see, and have any legal fees. If we have any legal fees, we need to ask, what are the legal fees for? If there's a lawsuit going on, then we have another issue to deal with. So legal expense could be subject to, could be relatively high, could be subject to misstatement, high likelihood of material misstatement. So A, I'm just gonna, for now, I didn't look at the other ones. Let's look at B. B is advertising expense. Advertising expense, could it be subject to manipulation? Everything could be subject to manipulation, but advertising expense is pretty straightforward. In what sense? If you pay for Facebook, for Google, for a radio, for a television, for a newspaper, it's pretty straightforward. It's an advertisement. Okay. Now, what you can do, you might prepay for your advertisement, but that's easy to deduct. So between A and B, I would take out A. It's not B is less risky than A. Okay, so I will take out A. I know I can take out A. Now, repair and maintenance. So now I have to look at repair and maintenance versus advertisement. What is the risk in repair and maintenance in this account? Well, there's a lot of risk in this account. Why? Because what do you repair and maintain? You repair and maintain property, plant and equipment, machinery, vehicles. What is the risk? The risk is when you paid this money, well, you have to make a decision. Is this an asset? Do you capitalize it, or is it an expense? So within the repair and maintenance, what you could have done is reported it as an asset, well, it should be an expense, or reported it as an expense, where it should be an asset. So there's a relatively high likelihood of material misstatement vis-a-vis B. I will take out C because, I'm comparing up to this point B and C. Let's look at B and D, rent and lease expense. Well, rent and lease expense, you would think it's pretty straightforward. Yes, you pay your rent every month. That's easy. You have a rental agreement. How about the lease? Not for the leases. The leases is you have to be careful whether it's an operating lease or a capital lease because it makes a difference. Therefore, D compared to B there's a high likelihood of material misstatement relative to B. So I would say B is the least amount of high likelihood of material misstatement, which is not considered an expense account with relatively high likelihood of material misstatement. So notice what we did here is we used our judgment. And this is the problem with the audit exam. You have to apply your business knowledge. That's why I always recommend, if you're studying for the CPA exam, to take FAR first, then audit. Because FAR teaches you the accounting, the business. You want to understand how business work in order to be a good auditor. And this is an application of it. What should you do now? You want to go to FAR lectures, look at additional resources, multiple choice, AICPA previously released questions, additional resources that's going to help you whether you are an accounting student or a CPA exam candidate. Invest in yourself. That's the best investment you can make. Good luck and stay safe.